You're listening to Beast Over Burden, powered by Barbell Logic.
We're Niki and Andrew, your personal professional coaches.
We help you take control of your fitness through hard but doable training and nutrition practices that fit your busy life.
Build a stronger, healthier version of yourself with lifelong habits. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Beast Over Burden with me, Niki Sims, and Andrew Jackson. Hey Andrew.
Hello again.
Hello. And we have a wonderful guest with us today. He's one of our coaches at Barbell Logic, Jeremiah Wicken. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
You are also up in Washington. Is there?
I am Eastern Washington,
Yep.
matter of fact.
Opposite sides.
The sunny side. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a shorter sunny than you'd think.
Yeah. Well, aside from being obsessed with the sun, because we live in Washington, and when it comes out, we get really excited. We're gonna talk about nutrition coaching today with Jeremiah. He does strength coaching. Everybody on Barbell Logic is a strength coach, but not everybody is a nutrition coach. Jeremiah is a nutrition coach, and he is one of the coaches in our Lean in 12 program. And we're about halfway through that, and we thought this would be an interesting time to start talking about how that's been going for our coaches, for our clients, but really importantly, it's going to be interesting to hear Jeremiah's perspective on how he helps his clients be successful with nutrition-focused efforts to create body composition changes. So, Jeremiah, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounded like fun.
So we're at Lean in 6 now? Is that the progress check?
I think so. It's about a month and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start by just giving an overview of what that is and how it might be different or is different. I am not. This is maybe the first time I'm not like actively participating in one of our new products, so I'm learning as much as our guests here. I get to play. I don't have to play dumb. I just am dumb.
Jeremiah, you want to explain it to everybody?
Yeah. So it's Lean in 12 is for folks that, generally they know what to do. They know how to track. They've had successful diets before, but it's sticking to it long term, especially the body composition changes, is what has been difficult. And so early on, we still have, as we typically do with visual food diary, and you're taking photos of everything caloric that you eat. And we take a look at that, look for patterns, look for data, and have a strategy call. And we try to come up with a plan that's meant to meet their goals over time.
Mm-hmm.
How is that different than the normal process? How would you describe the difference there?
Well, generally speaking, with our normal nutrition coaching, you'll have a weekly check-in. You'll have an initial strategy call, but the check-ins is much lower frequency. It's less personalized, and the strategy itself is much less intensive, at least how I've been approaching it. So in terms of accountability, every single day you're getting some kind of check-in on your calendar and focusing on the metrics that you're tracking or the habits that you're tracking. There's multiple video reviews per week. And there's strategy calls. There's the initial strategy call. There's the strategy call at week 4. There's strategy call at week 8. So with that level of structure, with that level of communication, it's really hard to to not see progress with that. You're if you're signing up for this, you're serious. It's like, okay, this is going to happen. And that's what we do. We make it happen.
Do you notice a difference in the type of clients that are attracted to that approach and that level of touch point?
I Absolutely. I think if you're signing up for Lean in 12, it's and I mean particularly there was probably a little bit of an association with the start of the year, right? I mean, we're going to run this thing again um in what would that be? That
In
start
April.
April. I think the April
Mhm.
cohort.
Mhm.
But people, new year, new me. Uh, I'm going to put a lot of investment, a lot of engagement into this program, communicate with the coach, do the things that I'm asked to do so that at the end of this thing, I'm really have created some lasting changes, which is something that I should probably touch on at some point as well in terms of like sustainable changes
Mhm.
after Lean in 12.
Yeah, we don't just we're trying not to do just a lean in 12 and then good luck. There's the option to carry on with whoever their nutrition coach is, but it's more our tailored approach is like, how can we help you make choices? Not like, how can I hold you back from eating foods that you enjoy eating so that you get to this one end goal where you've reached like the end of your nutrition coaching. It's more about like creating behaviors around it.
Choices,
Mm-hmm.
decision fatigue. Like that's kind of what I'm talking about a little bit early on. It's like people that uh, they've they've tracked macros. They've done X low carb diet variation. They've done some other like 75-day challenge. I think you guys were talking about
75
recently
hard,
on the
yeah.
other podcast. So they've done these things, and it's like what stuff gets in the way. Like I'm a teacher. I'm a working professional, so I think that's something I bring to the table as a coach. Like I understand that. I understand. Like I know how to do all these things, but like stuff happens. Like I'm so busy, and I get off track. I want to do it. It's like what do I do in that situation? Like what's a sustainable way to have the body composition that I want in the long term, and
Mm-hmm.
and not and make it faster, make the decisions easier, have a good plan,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
I'd like to go back or go to when a client first starts with you and they're coming in hot, like, like you said, new year, new me, and they have these visions. How do you come up with your roadmap and help guide them on even just like the first exercise around like defining what they want?
Exercise in terms of like you mean habits with nutrition, I assume, not the coaching, because Lean in 12 folks get coaching as well.
Yep.
But I think we're focusing on the nutrition aspect. But
Yeah.
so something I've thought about a lot is like people get so excited with the diet plans and tracking your macros, and it's so intensive, and there's so much like OCD that goes into that, and so much decision making, and it feels like a lot, but it's also very satisfying from that control perspective, and it's a smaller lever. Hopefully this will make sense what I'm trying to say, than some of these nutrition habits that we do daily, weekly, that will actually lead to that sustainable body composition change in the long run. So what do I mean by that? You can figure out how many protein per gram you're eating and carb and fat per day, and do some crazy timing and diet periodization. Or you could slowly build up to eating 4 to 6 fists of vegetables a day, right? And that is such a, like I always talk about this, like that is such a simple thing that like nobody does, even if you tell them to do it. Like like it's so hard. That's so much vegetables. And
yeah.
And like in terms of satiety, like feeling full, hydration, micronutrients, vitamins and minerals. And like, what's that going to do to your body composition over time? What's that going to do to your, you know, how much fat you lose, how much you sustain that progress that you made over that 3 months? Because I remember, I don't know about you guys, but I remember back in the day when macros was popular, and I wasn't thinking about none of that, right? It's like I'm sitting here like weighing my butter and making sure I'm getting like, 76 grams of fat, and I wasn't doing anything about the health, my dietary pattern. I wasn't thinking about vegetables, much less variety of vegetables and how they're prepared and how they're presented, which can be much bigger levers than these like itemizing your energy intake and things like that.
Yeah, I
You talked
100% agree with that, by the way. I mean, I think I made a comment to that along those lines a week or two ago when we were talking about making the minimum, it's sort of like a minimum effective dose change in a sense that I find those types of decisions where you either can add them or subtract them. In some cases, habits could simply be like limiting certain choices that can add up very quickly to additional calories. But I mean, I like what you're talking about there because it's additive. And I know that's something Niki's talked a lot about, that if you can come up with habits that feel like you're getting to add things rather than feeling like you're adding habits or having to make a bunch of decisions where you're like, I can't do this or I shouldn't do this. It's so much more painful and so much harder to manage that variable rather than like although to your point, you it's not easy to add that many vegetables, but it just feels psychologically very different, and I agree with you, has more of a return on investment than getting 87 grams of whatever. It is crazy how much I suboptimized my diet when I was trying to hit exact numbers.
Yeah.
Rather than making kind of some of those broader habit changes over, several weeks and months, which I know, Nick, you look like you're chomping to ask a question, but like one of the things I am curious about with that approach for both of you guys, how you deal with that daily check-in on something that is pretty mundane on one. Like a lot of people think there's this silver complex bullet. Like if I can get this stack of perfect micronutrients and hit exactly the right timing window, feeding window, whatever, that I'm gonna blah blah blah, and then it comes down to, no, actually, how about you just eat a bunch of vegetables every day and tell me you did that every day? Like, and then you have to, but actually the problem is you have to do that for the next 6 months. Like, how do you guys manage that aspect of coaching when it's so simple, hard, and effective?
Niki, you want to take that or do you?
I want you to do it.
Me to? Okay. Well, oh man, there's so many things you said I want to respond to. And in terms of just like how to make something simple and boring more engaging, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think I like to think about the stuff that makes me engaged, for one, with nutrition. And I have been interested in nutrition for a pretty long time, sometimes a little too interested. That's a whole other story, but
Okay, we'll circle back to that.
like I get really excited thinking about the benefits, for example, of stuff that I'm eating. And so I talk about that a lot in like if I make,
give us an example.
like a dark leafy greens, for example, like
Oh,
those are
man.
always recommended. You always hear dark leafy greens. And I don't know, for a long time, I was a little too OCD. So kind of like what I was just alluding to. And I was tracking macronutrients and micronutrients, which you shouldn't do, but I had to control everything. And I just happened to know dark leafy greens, the reasons that they're green. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar, I'm sure you are, nutrition coaching, but the colors in vegetables are literally nutrients that your body are extremely beneficial for your body, for your brain, cancer, skin, so many things, like like the orange in carrots and the purple in cabbage. And the thing about dark leafy greens, if you think about like when the leaves fall in the fall, they change colors, right? So like in dark leafy greens, those colors are all in there. They have more color than you realize, and it's because they're packed with not just micronutrients. I forget what the other word is. So not just vitamins and minerals, but um, different biochemicals that have other positive benefits that aren't just that they're not part of your RDA, but they do all sorts of other amazing things for your body. So,
Right.
like if you look at a micronutrient profile of vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin K, and you just put in like your carbs and your fat sources and your protein sources, those things don't look that great. But if you add in like 3 to 6 ounces of spinach, boom, it's all there. All those vitamins, like just that with the dark leafy greens. So like I have, as you can imagine, I have recommended this before to people. Like if you're going to implement some veggies, like start with some dark leafy greens, like cooked, raw. Sometimes it's easier to cook. You could get a whole bunch and it goes down easier. I like to do a combination, especially if you are going for the 4 to 6. But so that's just one example.
I was hoping you were going to say visual food diary of shoving your mouth with a fist of spinach, and then like
That's usually how I eat
with
greens.
the spinach just like exploding out of your mouth. That's my favorite. Just drive by refrigerator snacks. Just
Now
it
that
has
you
to be
know,
enough that it's like spilling out of your mouth. Like you can't
yeah,
fit
it's
it
a
all.
lot. It's a lot. But if you cook it down, Popeye had it. Like there's a reason.
Hell yeah.
Mhm. Well, I love how excited you just got about dark leafy greens. Is there a runner-up that you also like to see people eat that is just packed with magic?
Oh man, I mean, so carb sources, protein sources, fat sources, fruits, um, transitioning your diet over from, um, if you ever do the nutrition, precision nutrition profile, they have the stoplight system for like red, yellow, and green foods. So transitioning over to those preferred lean protein sources, and like what are the benefits of that? And that's another thing that's not so fun and not so easy. Like it sounds simple, but we're talking about actually changing your dietary pattern from some things that you really like, maybe you grew up with, maybe your family enjoys, to things like chicken breast and pork tenderloin, and maybe even some plain non-fat Greek yogurt. Like, what does that do? Well, they tend to be higher in water. They tend to promote satiety. They leave space on your plate for other really healthy stuff, like healthy fats from things like olive oil, avocados. If you have a ribeye steak, which I love, and I do have ribeye steaks, I'm not saying I don't. There's not a ton of, if you can't. So assuming we're all evidence based here, and calories matter, there's not an unlimited amount of calories that you can put on any plate. There's a constraint, right? So if you choose the ribeye, you're taking away some potential calories you could have with something else, like almonds, another healthy fat choice. Avocados, another healthy fat choice. And if you choose to have both of those things, then you're taking away maybe an option for a super healthy carbohydrate, like a whole grain or a fruit or something like that. So that doesn't sound as exciting as the dark leafy greens, but transitioning your diet, making it available in your house, speaking about environmental changes, it opens up opportunities over time to change that dietary pattern and start to add in some of these other foods that are super beneficial in so many ways.
Can you talk a little bit more about this word you keep saying, satiety, and the importance of that?
Oh, satiety is really interesting, and I I think because we're talking about hunger,
Mm-hmm.
and I think cravings are slightly different. There's like a whole psychological thing with cravings, but the feeling of being full and like what are the things that affect that? Like we know the water content of food, for example, like how much it weighs,
Mm-hmm.
which is affected by water. Protein levels of the food, um, how tasty it is, which is which is kind of hard to hear sometimes. Like if something doesn't taste as good, like I often have, and I've been made fun of it before. I have non-fat plain Greek yogurt almost every day. I've been having it for a long time,
Same.
and like it is not as tasty as a full fat yogurt. Trying to think of what that one brand is. It's got like the honey
Like
flavor in it.
Siggy or
Something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you have something like that, that's a little more plain and rich, and it has a lot of water, has a lot of protein. You aren't you eat a little. You're less excited. You eat a little bit more slowly. You get full faster.
I gotta know. Are you eating like the Faye 0%, like without anything in it?
No, I mean I do put some stuff in it. So I usually my usual pattern is I'll put like some citrus and maybe some nuts. And more recently, I've been using stevia drops actually.
Mm-hmm. Those
So-
man, you get a lot out of a stevia drop.
It doesn't take a lot, and it really helps it go down. If you're trying to, if you don't want to,
You're really selling this here.
well,
Well,
I
the
know, right?
Faye,
But-
there's something about the Faye 0% that if you just eat it plain is like it's like torture
tough.
to eat that.
It's a
You
little
just gotta really choke it down. But you can
But
add stuff to it.
What's
which
kind
But
of
here's-
cool, though,
but here's the
about
thing,
it
it's
is
a
that you can
signal.
add to it.
it's a signal. Okay.
It's a signal. Like some of these foods, like plain oatmeal, like you get like halfway, 2/3 of through, and you're just like, oh god, I can't finish it. That's a signal. Like this is a food. This is a good food to have in your diet. You're satisfied already. You don't want to continue. You're full. It also has all of these tons of benefits. Like
That is interesting.
if I notice that about a particular food, it's like I should be having this on a regular, like,
Yeah.
scheduled
I
pattern.
never
Like
get that signal when I'm eating Thin Mints Girl Scout cookies ever.
you don't get that. You don't
never
go,
enough.
God, I can't eat any more Thin Mints. I'm so tired of it.
That's super interesting reframe.
That is
because,
interesting, yeah.
it fits in line with something I've been thinking a lot about over the years that I didn't, again, because of the macro mindset, the macro tracking mindset, where the only priority was hitting certain numbers. It didn't matter whether I was blowing the lid off the toilet every day
Jesus.
and
Got to get the macros. Yeah.
and felt just like death every single day. If I was hitting my macros, mission accomplished. And then when I started working with Jillian, and she actually got to a point where she wasn't giving me a meal plan, but she gave me like a framework. Like, this is the kind of meal, get this kind of lean protein and these amount of vegetables, et cetera, and so forth. And then she had me pay more attention to how I felt. Above and more important than hitting some certain amount of food. I mean, there was a little bit of weighing and measuring, but what just blew my mind was when I started paying attention to how I felt and responding consciously to how I felt. Shockingly, I tended to eat meals that were closer to what I was supposed to be eating in that meal plan because they felt better. They had more micronutrients. They had more water. They had more lean protein. And I never quite thought about it that way, but that fullness signal would be my body actually saying like, okay, you're good, dude. You can stop now, instead of just shoveling it down no matter how it felt, which is how
I'm imagining
for years
Andrew eating
I ate.
popcorn. Just as
Well, you,
much.
like I said, it's not enough unless it's falling out of your mouth. You got to
Well,
keep the couch supply of snacks.
and I same thing. So when I was itemizing everything with macros and everything, it's like you have to get, oh, I have to get my 3,300 calories today. I have to get 275 carbs today, and I only had 250, so I got to eat this apple or something. And it's
Right.
like, if you're on an example, if you're on a fat loss diet and you've had a sufficient amount of protein and you've had some, maybe your micronutrients, you've had a veggie portion or something like that, and you're full and you don't want to eat the carb source that's scheduled, maybe don't eat it.
Yeah.
It's like you're on a fat loss diet anyway. It's
Yeah.
like that's a good thing. You're full already. You're getting even. I mean, I think maybe you could take that a little bit too far and like over restrict, but I don't know. But I've been doing lean and 12 myself, and I've been losing. I've lost a ton of weight so far. I mean, I'm sure some of it's water weight, but it's been like, it's approaching 15. I think it was like 12 pounds the last time
Wow.
I checked.
Wow.
And it's been so easy. Like I haven't been hungry, and it's just, I've done this so many times. I've had so many experiences, which has helped. But like, it's things like that. It's like, oh, if you're on a run, I don't need to sit here and like decide at McDonald's, like, how am I going to get my 30 carbs for this meal? How am I going to get my 57 grams of protein for this meal? It's like, okay, I need a solid lean protein source, and I need to try to get some veggies later in the day because this is going to be a micronutrient poor meal, right? So it's like getting better at prioritizing and actually just like responding to those satiety signals, like you said.
Well, you mentioned you think there's a difference between satiety and or not being full and cravings. How do you help people distinguish the difference?
Yeah, I mean, so there could also be a connection there. It doesn't have to be either or. It's like if you are super hungry, you might gravitate towards certain things that you found comfort in, like that have been super satisfying, that might be helpful or problematic. But cravings are really interesting. I've listened to some nutrition podcasts before, and there seems to be a connection between like things like culture and cravings. For example, like, oh, I'm craving chocolate, or I'm craving, and like I have to have, like, chocolate's a big one. Salty snacks, because like in a different culture, it's like, oh, I'm craving rice. Oh, I've got to have I just can't help it. I have to get the rice. It's out of my hands. And so there is a psychological thing that, like, there's emotion with this stuff, biopsychosocial with nutrition as well. Like the comfort foods that you were raised on, or that you've had success with, or maybe not success with, like that you're craving, but it's less to do with I'm hungry and more to do, like, there's a ton of psychosocial factors that are triggering that.
My experience as I'm thinking about it while you're talking is that a craving is a non-specific desire that has no rational, or maybe there's some rational piece behind it, but like yesterday I noticed this just happened. I had soup for lunch. It was leftover stew, basically. Plenty, like, if I were weighing and measuring, hit exactly what I needed. But I just needed something crunchy. Like I can't just eat some soup and soft things all day. Like there's something that I just get out of eating something like a pretzel or a cracker that satisfies a craving that I can't put my finger on. Another one that I notice a lot is that when I get a craving for more carb dominant things, it's often that I'm not getting enough protein. That one's a little bit more of a maybe specific related, but it's the when I think of a craving, it's that I want something not because that's the thing I need, but because it's associated with some feeling or emotion that I have, and I eat the food or snack or binge on the sleeve of cookies or whatever it is, thinking that it's going to scratch the itch. And another huge part of the craving is it doesn't actually meet the need that I think I have. So, like with the carb heavy one, what I'm actually needing is protein. And if I go have the Greek yogurt, I actually meet the craving need. But if I eat the thing that I'm actually think I'm craving, like a box of wheat thins, I still have I'll eat the entire box and it's still there. I'm like, I need more. I guess I'll eat the popcorn next, and then I'll eat and it just keeps going and going and going. But what I really needed was to eat the freaking Greek yogurt, and then I'd be done. I'd have that feeling of like, okay, cool, that's enough.
Yeah, I feel that. Like if I miss certain anchor meals in my diet, like
Yeah.
much more likely to later in the day to be weaker. I think it's an interesting topic. I think we're talking a little bit about it's dopamine reward signaling, and like what are all the things that can factor into that? It's like what if you have trauma? What if you are neurodivergent? Or what if like that dopamine that you're craving is from some emotion that completely unrelated to the Greek yogurt, from life stress, or from or maybe you have like a phone addiction. Now you're just like wired for dopamine all the time. I don't know. Like there's so many things that can go into that, and that's good to know and understand, because like you can do stuff about that.
Right.
Like you can replace that with something else. You can, like a common thing in bodybuilding is like sit and play some video games, and have some like like diet soda. You're getting that dopamine in a different way, like that fast, easy reward feeling of successful survival animal brain thing, without in a way that isn't sabotaging your diet.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great example of when we were talking about earlier, like habits that have a big lever. Super common ones are replace a thing that you crave with something that's as close as possible, but a better option. So, like the easy one, or maybe not easy, but an obvious one that's an example of that is if you have a habit of cracking open a fully leaded Coca-Cola, or ordering the 64-ounce Coca-Cola with your McDonald's, replacing that with a diet option. Like it gets you kind of close to that, but you just cut out 300-400 calories that you potentially make of that decision 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 times a week. And now with one change, you've got that huge lever effect. And if you can stack up a bunch of those kinds of switch outs, and this is another thing I'll be curious to ask you about is, how do you coach somebody to recognize when those moments occur? And is that what the kind of thing that because what I wanted to ask earlier was, when you're talking to somebody every single day and they're doing these visual feedbacks, like what's your feedback look like? What are the types of things, like, and what are some concrete examples of, like, are you identifying a switch out like that? Or are you coaching them on how to recognize that moment that it's time to try to make a different choice? What does that coaching look like from your perspective?
Yeah. So the big levers every week we do. So let me just back up a little bit. Like at the start, you get your energy intake information, and I really try to steer people towards the hand portions. But a lot of times people, there's a lot of folks that are still into tracking with an app, which is great. But every week's having a big lever that is based on the information that we're getting from that visual food diary and from their comments. Like, I'm struggling with the water intake, for example, like just regularly, I get to X time in the day and I'm forgetting it, or it's hard to drink that much water. And it's like, what's a system that we could do that we could implement. I really like. Here's a couple of systems. One of the systems that I've been implementing, because this is actually something that I've struggled with, is the water, which has a much bigger impact than you'd think.
Yeah.
I literally have 6 water bottles that I fill up every day because I hate, number one, carrying around a huge gallon jug, which is what some people do. It's weird. It's like I have
thought
to
you were
open
gonna
it.
say I hate number one.
There
bigger
is a
fan
lot of
number
that.
two.
Yeah. There is a lot of number one when you get the water going. But
That's what makes 75 hard, 75 inconvenient.
yeah,
So much water.
but now you're training another muscle, you know, getting the tone of the bladder. So
It's just more gains.
more gains. But then like opening up a gallon and like tipping it into your water bottle, it's like, so it's great. And instead I have 6 water bottles. I have 3 I keep at home. I have 3 I keep at work. Because I can't remember. I don't know why. It's just I struggle. I can't remember. I have a water tracking app. It doesn't work.
Mm.
So what's something
So
that
you know
works
if you've
for
had all
you?
6 during the day, you're good.
I can see it. I can see the water bottles. I can remember, but I'll forget. I'll drink my water bottle and be like, "Is this my second or my third? I can't remember. I think it's my third. I don't know."
You know, that actually kind of brings up an interesting cultural shift in at least my lifetime. I'm not sure if it's been true for you guys, but you know, a lot of people are talking about how much life is changing right now with the internet and AI and all this technology stuff. But I would say one of the most radical changes that have occurred in my lifetime is the proliferation of water bottles. The
So
number
many
of water bottles that existed when I was a kid had to have been close to 0. In fact,
It was
bottled
only the
water-
Gatorade one, right? It was only the green
I
Gatorade
don't-
water
I
bottle
mean-
with the orange top.
Yeah, exactly. There was like 2 water bottles you could get, and you only use them when you were playing soccer or riding a bike. Very important. They were all bike water bottles.
Yeah.
And nobody carried water bottles. Now you go into a sporting goods store, and there is a freaking wall of Stanleys, whatever, you got the hippie version, you got the preppy version, you got the gear version.
Because someone figured out how to sell it to 16 to 40-year-old women. And if you can find something that demographic wants to buy, you should make as many colors and variations as possible because your business will thrive.
It's so funny because, well, I was watching the Christmas Vacation last year, and the neighbors, the 2 like yuppie neighbors that are next to Chevy Chase's house. There's a scene in there that I don't think the modern audience gets the signaling, but what's her name's character?
Julia
from
Dreyfus?
Seinfeld. Yeah. She was drinking out of a water bottle. And like that is totally normal today, but that was like a major signal in the 80s of how much of a yuppie this couple was, that they would actually drink water out of a bottle. Okay, sorry. Random rant. But.
That's the okay boomer being card moment, everybody.
What's the deal with all these water bottles? Okay, so 6 water bottles.
Yeah. But yeah, circling back, I mean, so there's you learn about people's jobs and you learn about the things that they find difficult and like what is one habit this week that we can implement. And so that's example. And you mentioned example earlier, which is one that I've implemented recently with someone. It's like a protein bookend, like start of the day and end of the day, high protein meal to reduce cravings, to reduce evening hunger, it can help prevent poor decisions, maybe midday or in the evening, because you're giving yourself what you need, so you're going to be less stressed out. You're going to be less likely to go off track and that sort of thing. But over time, really what my system is, which it's not really my system. I mean, Precision Nutrition, like Foundations talks about this, which is like, what's one little habit that we could do? It's a small thing. And then and we'll maintain that. We'll get really good at that habit. And then we'll add another one on top of that. And we'll just slowly layer this thing and change our pattern. And it's not about macros. It's about a dietary pattern. It's about your environment. You know.
It almost like this visual that comes to my mind is like you're playing habit Jenga. You're like kind of like tapping the to see which ones are not like you're looking for the ones that have the least amount of resistance early on, right? The most leverage
Yeah.
and the least resistance. Would that be is
E-
that a fair?
Easy to understand,
Mm-hmm.
high leverage, high impact,
Mm-hmm.
and the water one is a big one. It's like that's also important for satiety. It's important for recovery. It's important for like your skin and your brain and your performance. Your like your emotional state during the day could be affected if you're not hydrated.
You can
And
confuse hunger for being thirsty, and then
yeah,
if you yeah.
and I've actually been doing great because, like I said, I've been uh, adding some habits of my own during this phase because it's been inspiring, you know, kind of thinking about these things and taking a look, having a little introspection. And I think one of the biggest habits, most powerful impacts I've done is getting my water right. Like I think that because of my water intake has been fixed, I'm pretty sure that's why I'm feeling less achy lately. That's why I'm feeling more energetic, feeling more recovered, and that sort of thing, like performance in the gym. So it's ironic because you can spend all this time like eating a pretty dietary pattern, and there's just like this one little thing that could have had a huge impact, and it's also easy, right? It's like, well, maybe you need a system to help you actually do it consistently, which is what we do. But it's simple, and once you have that system.
What's an example of a client win that you've had in this Lean In 12 so far? Any kind of breakthrough you could highlight?
Man, I feel like we've made a lot of changes, and I could pick one or the other, but
or maybe a theme that you're noticing.
I think the theme is it's very common, and probably the folks that sign up for this, but probably with a lot of this is like, how do I stay on track when I get to these really stressful phases in my life? Like what do I do when there's like I'll give you an example of teaching. It's like, okay, it's like finals week, grading, like you're working more than your contracted hours. It's like, okay, I need to have, how do I get all my meals prepared? How do I get my water? You know, what do I do when I don't have the meal prep that I normally do? Like, how do I stay on track with my diet? Because these things can come up with consistently. So wins that we've been seeing have been implementing some of those systems so that there's an option there when crap hits the fan, so to speak. If you want a quick example, it's like, here's the places that I go in an emergency, right? McDonald's, Starbucks, those are two for me, Jimmy John's. Okay. So there's an emergency next week during X stressful phase. What are my orders? Like, figure it out now, so that when it happens, I already have a plan in place. There's that decision fatigue isn't there. I don't have to be it's a stress relief is what it is when you know that you have options that you can do even if you don't have your nutrition tracking app.
Yeah. I love that one. I think that's actually been a huge relief or change for me after, decades of travel. I've now have just automatic places I could go that are pretty much everywhere. Especially now, I mean, lean protein sources are so much easier to get today when you're traveling than they were even just 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But being able, knowing that you can walk into Starbucks anywhere in the world and get the egg white bites and a turkey sandwich,
Not anywhere in the world.
We
They
have the
do
same
not
one,
have that
haven't we?
in France.
Well, maybe not. Okay, not in France, but they got it in
France
China.
only has bread.
They got it in Taiwan. they, uh, so okay, maybe not Europe, but well, or
But when
even
you're
a
in
gas
France, you just eat the
station.
bread.
Like I know how
Yeah.
to go through even the worst gas stations in the country and pick out something that's at least going to get me through the day without being a train wreck.
Is it the hot
Yeah.
dog? Is it one of the
It's
hot
always the
dogs?
hot dog.
Yeah.
Usually the greenest hot dog that looks like it's been rolling for at least 2 days.
Just kidding, everybody. Jeremiah is like, no, don't do that.
No. I mean, anymore you can usually find a protein shake that's but
Yeah. I really like bars though. I found, I like something to chew on.
Same. Yeah.
I've kind of actually leaned away from the bars more lately. They just it seems like those have actually gotten worse over time. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that.
If you want a product placement, I don't know if you've tried the new David's bars.
Had one the
They're
other day.
so awesome. I think because I've been looking around and like, what's the best protein per calorie?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those are the ones. They're not as tasty as Barbells, but
What do you think about? So I like the Davids, but they have like a high amount of sugar alcohol.
I was just
which
going to ask, like, what's
I have like a
what's the
voice in
sugar
my head
alcohol?
from someone who's like, don't have sugar alcohol.
I think the main thing there is that like it can cause gut issues in some people. I've never had an issue with that. So I know some
definitely
people
say that it's the dose. The dose is the poison.
makes the poison. Yeah.
Yeah, you eat 10 of those. It's time to blow some toilets out. Let's go.
Thank you, Andrew.
I'm here for the two.
Ready for Andrew's diet plan? Gas station hot dogs and fewer than 10 protein bars a day. And as much
Oh, man.
dark leafy greens as you can fit in your mouth at any
The
given
number
Uh,
2. I'll tell you about the number 1.
Yeah, you got number
you
one
got the
covered.
number
I got
two.
number 2. You got teamwork. It's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator handshake
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. I hope somebody makes that into a meme. We can like you can taste my face.
Matt can do it. Okay, so I want to talk about something that you mentioned before, which is how you want people to be successful at the end of this 12-week program. What is the strategy around that?
So when you're transitioning to regular nutrition coaching, so you're not getting the same level of feedback, you're not getting the regular scheduled monthly calls, but you are still tracking in the app, you're still doing your visual food diary. Although, I mean, not everyone does the same level of visual food diary. So I really like to think about what's the level of tracking that helps us identify patterns, but is quick and sustainable, low decision fatigue, right? Like sign in, sign out, even on the busy days, even on emergency, but continuing to monitor the habits that we've established in the lean in 12 phase, getting that communication still on a weekly basis, still coming up with levers that move you towards your goals. And like, what do you do after you've lost the amount of weight that you've been looking for? Like, how do you maintain that? How do you sustain that? Like, how do you make like, oh, this is my life now? There's still a lot because there's plenty of evidence for this statement I'm going to make, by the way. Everyone is great at dieting. Everyone is great at weight loss. Like whoever you talk to, like that struggles with like fat loss and that sort of thing, to be like, they'll tell you, I lost a ton of weight on this diet. I've done it a couple times now, actually. But what's hard is keeping weight loss off in the long term, maintaining that. And one of some other evidence out there, it's like I always remember like the big ideas from studies, but I can never remember like the actual citation. But there's after weight loss diets, people that continue, like for example, tracking their weight tend to keep it off in the long term at a much higher rate than people that stop.
Hmm.
And it's we can like speculate on why that is, but like continuing to be present, continuing to monitor, and not just to fall back into your mindless cravings and habits that you did before. And so that's why I think the nutrition coaching after Lean in 12 can really come in handy. It's like continuing to snap those photos, continuing to talk about what happened this week. It doesn't have to be that long. It could just be a minute or two out of your day. It really is a minute or two. Snapping photos takes a minute. Uploading takes a minute. At the end of the week, maybe there's a reflection question that takes a minute. It's really not a lot of time that's dedicated to this, but like actually being present, actually reflecting, to thinking about what you did in the week, and then getting that accountability and feedback from a coach, like still on a weekly basis, having another perspective, another pair of eyes. Like if you want to really make a change, something that you haven't done before, like in sustainable long term, that'll work. It's gonna work.
That is such an important point. I think we've talked a version of that I don't think most people appreciate. That dieting is picking a direction. That's pretty rare. You hear anybody say, "I want to gain weight" anymore. That used to be like bulking was kind of a thing, but I think bulking seems like it's dead in 2025, 6.
Yeah.
Very very rare you see people wanting to bulk, it's a little sad. Bulking was one of the most fun phases of my training career. I'd do it a little bit different if I could go back, but actually, why not? I mean, I learned some lessons from doing that too.
Yeah.
But for most people, when they talk about being on a diet, they're thinking about losing weight. So you're right. They get on the bandwagon, they do things for some period of time, and the weight comes off, but don't recognize that what the reality of what they have to do to maintain that weight loss is a different life. And forever. And doesn't mean you have to be perfect forever, but on average over the rest of whatever period of time you want that to be your weight or your body composition, that's got to be your lifestyle. And you're going to make some changes to start turning that direction. And maybe you can pull back up after a while and add some calories back in and still maintain at whatever that new normal is, because you don't have to be in a deficit to keep the direction going. But if it's all right, I made it, slam dunk, it's over, you're gonna slide back. And on that, the interesting thing on the weight and the waist, I've been doing that more lately without tracking. I just weigh myself every day, not because I'm expecting a certain number, but what I notice is it definitely influences my choices throughout the week.
Yeah.
Because it's just a quick data point. It takes 2 seconds in the morning, and I can just kind of eyeball over time. Am I floating up? Am I floating down? Am I kind of hanging the same? I get to know my patterns throughout the week and see what's normal. And then I start to look based on what direction things are going. I just reflect on those big lever habits like we were talking about earlier, and look for opportunities to either, push or pull some choices to see if I can nudge it the other direction.
Yeah.
I think that's been really powerful. Both of those have been definitely influential in how I've perceived nutrition management over the years.
And there's other habits too that if you're paying attention to, if you're doing them, like I have never gained a ton of weight eating 5 to 6 fists of vegetables a day. If you keep those things in there, it's like, it's so hard. You just don't do it. Like, and as a matter of fact, if I was going to bulk, which I might eventually, sometimes you have to bulk to put on some muscle, but like I probably have to sometimes you have to take a little bit of vegetables out. Like if you if you want to gain weight, it's like it's hard to eat all that food. It's like I have to eat all of these carbohydrates or this other food source.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't have to be the scale. Sometimes like, paying attention to like one of those habits
Sure.
that maybe you built early on in Lean in 12. It's like paying attention to your compliance with that habit over time is you're going to be much more successful than if you do the thing. And I feel like this happens with macros. It's like you're doing macros. It's so intensive. It's so structured. It's so OCD. It's stressful. Decision fatigue, especially if you're not planning. It's like you're just scanning nutrition labels on the go. And when you're done with the diet, I'm done. It's time to relax.
Yeah.
It's time to relax. It's time to, I'm going to have some cheat meals. I'm going to start having some of these foods back in here. I've done that a couple times, and it's a rebound effect that you get from doing a diet that is behaviors, habits, strategies that aren't sustainable. That's not something that you can do for 10 years.
Closing question. When you're eating a fistful of greens, is it a squeezed fist or is it like a loose fist?
I do the squeezed fist, yeah.
Okay.
And it's your fist, because I'm bigger, so I need a little more.
So like the greens need to be compacted to be this size, or like loose.
I mean, and
greens.
I get these questions all the time with hand portions. It's like how much is a cupped hand? Like how much is a palm? I can't tell. I'm looking at the plate. I think it's a palm. I'm not sure. How does this factor into my fat macros? And that's the thing. It's like if you're you're thinking a little bit too much about X grams of protein per day.
Yep.
When you should be thinking about what does a balanced plate look like? What are these preferred protein sources or not? Because like if it's chicken breast and you're a little bit off, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Like it's not a caloric food, but if you're doing something that's not a preferred protein source,
stick of butter.
That's not a preferred protein source. or a gas station hot dog or something.
A stick of butter or a half stick of butter?
Is it a fist of butter?
It is going to matter if it's a palm and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Nuts are a big one on that.
Same thing with the veggies. It's like, looks like it's about the size of a fist, compacted or not. I don't know.
Me, one of the biggest enablers in shifting that mindset that I tell clients all the time is to remember that even if you are if everything that you eat is a packaged ingredient with macros and you weigh and measure everything, at best you're somewhere between 20 and 25% accuracy.
Exactly.
So
yeah, that's the thing. It's like even if you
count your almonds and worry about whether you got 87 or 88 grams of one thing or the other is just the very low ROI on a lot of stress.
I'm pretty sure there's a range, even like when they do put those numbers on the nutrition label, like that's a range anyway. And then that's absolutely correct. So it's like that's why it's more important to have an understanding of the energy that's in food. It's more important to have preferred protein sources like almonds, for example, or nuts. Just like I understand that fat has like twice as many calories per gram as proteins and carbs. That means I do need to think a little bit more when I'm adding fats to my meals in terms of like that I'm not overdoing it, right? There's a bigger potential impact on whatever my goals are if I'm not being a little conservative with my fat sources.
I like it.
Well, thank you, Jeremiah. That was actually a really good learning experience for me. I've been tracking during this Lean in 12, and I don't now I'm really questioning that because I think I could do it a lot differently. I think I'm going to eat some more vegetables and see what that does for the rest of my lean and 12. And I
I'll
think this
say
was really,
yes. I I do have a scale, and oftentimes I'll weigh my protein,
Yep.
my chicken breast,
Yep.
because number one, it's expensive, and so like trying to like, and I know I did it for so long that I know that like there's about 7 grams of protein per cooked ounce of meat. There's probably a little more in chicken breast. There's probably a little less in um, I don't know, beef tenderloin or something. But I do weigh that out like when I'm packing my lunch and stuff. But I have no idea like what's a rough amount of protein. But I know I'm getting enough protein. I know I'm getting enough fat, and if you do things that are less, it's less structured, that's going to be more sustainable in the long run. I'm not finding the words that I'm going for right now, but
I do like tracking to audit every once in a while because I tend to weigh and measure my protein as well, but I know that I backslide to not enough protein and more fat than I would ideally want, and probably not enough carbs, and probably more total calories based on which way my weight's going. That's just like I know that's my behavior pattern, um, and so I think it's useful to audit, but uh,
but then having an option that's there
yes,
when you don't have
right,
a scale, or when you're
right,
stressed out, it's like
yes,
I know what I should do,
right,
and I'm
the
getting what I need, and I'm succeeding.
right.
mhm.
The one time that it seems to make a tactical big difference I find with clients is on the weekends. And you can be perfect 5 days a week, and if your Saturday and Sunday and your Friday night are off the rails, uh, just nothing changes, and every Monday is a new day, a new reset. That can be tricky because a lot of the what I notice ends up happening. I know we're running a little bit long on time here, but I notice that people have a tendency to be able to implement a lot of those levers and habits and patterns Monday through Friday, and then it just
Mhm.
goes completely sideways on the weekend because of those biosocial, psychological factors. They're at gatherings or social events. They're bring their routines
Date
from
night.
date
Uh,
night to movie night to pizza night to
oh, and I love it. Like my wife and I, we go out every week for date night. It's like one of the best times of the week. And but this is something that your coach can help you with too. I have we're doing this right now as a weekly habit with a couple, and it's like, okay, so when you go out this weekend, since you're on a fat loss diet, carb or dessert or alcohol, you got to choose.
Mm,
Like a little rule like that. It's like now you have a rule.
mhm.
mm-hmm.
You get to choose the thing that is the most fun for you. For me, it's a cocktail, and but you're not sabotaging on the weekend. So,
Right.
and you can have. I love rules. So people say I'm too crazy with rules, but
Here's one
you
for
can.
you. I got this from Jacob Zemer, the 2-2-2 rule. You get 2 drinks 2 hours before bed twice a week.
I like that.
Moderation gives you some flexibility, easy to remember. That one's been
Mhm.
Two,
working
two,
for
two.
me.
Mhm. Well, if you want to have Jeremiah in your corner, which honestly, after this episode, I kind of do, you can hire him for lifting and for nutrition. Go to barbelllogic.com. We have another cohort of the Lean in 12 coming up in April, so stay tuned for that. And if you want to do your own research right now on nutrition, go to barbelllogic.com employing, but it is really wonderful to have someone who is a sounding board for these kind of struggles around nutrition to help you calm down when you feel like you have to make a ton of decisions and you want to make sure you're on the right path, and someone who knows a little bit more than you do. And it's just really nice to have a coach who can guide you through that. So Jeremiah, really thank you so much for being on here. It was really, I've just never heard anybody get that excited about vegetables. It was just a really fun moment for me.
You didn't know. It's gonna be you now.
Now the challenge is, how do we find leafy greens that aren't broccoli?
Oh man, do you want me to start listing? Yeah.
We'll put that in the
Swiss
show
chard.
notes.
Keep,
Let's do some
yeah,
leafy
keep
green show
listing,
notes.
and then we're just gonna like turn down
Just
the
fade out.
sound lower and lower and fade out.
And then come back next week and you're like still listing leafy green vegetables. Jeremiah's on week 2 now, and he's been listing leafy greens.
I hope my wife watches this because she's gonna be just shaking her head. You know, you can imagine she's been hearing this for 15 years
I
now.
hope you
so.
are, Nicole. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll be here next week on your
Thanks for
Tuesday.
having me.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.